Which under-the-radar Bengals could make an impact this season, and are any of these undrafted free agents going to make the 53-man roster? Hi again, everybody, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com, and yes, we're less than a month away from training camp, which means training camp battles. It means plenty of talk about the long snapper battle, right? Whether it's Cal Adamitis, can he dethrone Clark Harris? Will Kevin Huber maintain his job as holder and punter, or will Drew Chrisman dethrone the veteran as well? And while we're not going to touch on those two, that is certainly two camp battles we'll be paying attention to. But today, I want to go over some undrafted free agents that could make the roster and contribute in a variety of ways. And we'll do that in just a second. And the good news, I have a skill player and I have two trench players, one on offense, one on defense, that I think is capable of making a run at the 53-man roster. But first, I want to start with the running back position and a guy that I sort of expect to break out in 2022. There were multiple times last year on this channel when I thought Chris Evans was going to just explode onto the scene, and especially after that Detroit Lions game when he showed what he could do, right? And he beat press coverage, and he was able to beat the linebacker up the seam, and it's like, man, I watched him in OTAs, rookie OTAs last year. I'm like, this dude is different. The way he runs routes, his natural hands, his size, speed, the combo, it's unique. It's rare. So he might be a 6th-round pick, but I had really high expectations for him. And he showed, some promise and caught a pass in the Super Bowl, but didn't really fulfill what I thought might happen. And I don't know if it was a mental aspect of things. He was just a rookie. I don't know if it was the Bengals just trusted Samaje Perine more in that RB2 role, but that's the first guy I'm looking to. As far as a breakout player goes, well, the Bengals, they have guys that have broken out, right? Burrow's broken out. Mixon, obviously. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. And you could say Hayden Hurst. But to me, I think Chris Evans poised to make a leap this season. So that's where I wanted to start. And two more guys. And so Chris Evans was on the 53-man roster last year throughout the season, made the team, all of those things. But two guys that didn't make the team, that were on the roster at times, but didn't really get much run. Thad Moss and Pooka Williams. Let's start with Pooka Williams. I thought last year he looked sort of unnatural as a route runner. He's making the transition from running back at Kansas to wide receiver in the NFL. He's 5'9", 5'8", 175, a real slender, real thin. He's quick, but not a natural wide receiver route runner type guy, right? I just mentioned Chris Evans. Chris Evans runs routes like a receiver. Pooka Williams did not last year. I thought in OTAs he was much improved. And the hands were there. If you saw some of our highlights of Pooka, it looks different than it did last year during training camp. And I think that bodes well for his chances. Now, if he's going to make this team, he's going to have to cut his teeth on special teams. He's going to have to prove his worth as a returner. I think that's his path. But I do think he showed vast improvement as a wide receiver, and that's worth noting. Another guy, Thad Moss. I think Thad Moss looks good. He looks healthy. And that's kind of the key. Thad Moss has dealt with multiple injuries over the past couple of years, really since that 2019 LSU run with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and all those guys. Well, he got injured in Washington, got cut, released by the team. Signed with the Bengals last year, got dinged up multiple times, was on the practice squad, but was on injured reserve. So to me, those are two guys that could potentially make an impact. And that's the thing. I mean, he's battling Mitch Wilcox for that wide receiver or that tight end 3 spot. So there's a chance Thad Moss makes this team. I think he's got a good rapport with Joe Burrow and looks healthy. Certainly has a shot to make the 53-man roster. All right, let's get to our 3 undrafted free agents. 1, 2, 3 that I think have a realistic shot of making the roster. And I'm not including Cal Adamitis in this. Obviously, we know he's one of 2 guys battling for that starting long snapper spot. The first one, why not talk about a receiver? Kwamie Lassiter. Thought he looked good. An explosive player. Smooth. Someone that I didn't love as a punt returner, even though he does have a little experience doing that. But to me, could certainly push for a back-end wide receiver spot if he can show, hey, I can be a gunner. I can contribute on special teams. I can do this, this, and this. Even if I'm not returning, I think there's certainly a chance that he gets some run, with the second team certainly in camp, but maybe even the first team. And they were bouncing around. The receivers were all moving around with T. Higgins out during OTA. So Kwamie Lassiter got some run with the first group. Trent Taylor did. Stanley Morgan Jr. got a ton of run with the first group, and so did Mike Thomas. So it's hard to really judge there, but I do think Kwamie Lassiter has a realistic shot of making the team. The second one, let's go to the trenches. Tariqious Tisdale. And that's exactly how you say his name, for those wondering, even though it doesn't look like it. The Ole Miss product is a freak. You just look at him, you're like, oh, who is that? I remember checking my roster. Oh, Tariqious Tisdale. And so I think Tariqious has a shot here. He's going to battle Wyatt Hubert. He's going to battle, Jeffrey Gunter, the 7th-round pick this year. Hubert, 7th-round pick last year, for a back-end roster spot. But he's got pretty good production. He's got the measurables, got the size, man. He looks the part. I think Tariqious Tisdale certainly in the mix. And I'm going to give you one more. And, I had to mention the offensive line. And there's really two guys. I think the local product, Desmond Noel, I'll throw his name out there as well. But the guy that stands out to me, Ben Brown. I think Ben Brown has a chance to beat out, I almost said BJ Hill, Trey Hill, for that backup center job. I really do. Undrafted, understand that, but that had a lot to do with his injury. And I think if Ben Brown is healthy, wasn't OTAs, and watching him work with Frank Pollock, really hard to judge the trenches, right? So I'm picking two trench players here. It's not like they went head-to-head or trench players went after each other in 11s or something like that. They only did 7-on-7s during OTAs. But I just think you look at him, you look at his technique, his profile, his pedigree. He's got a shot here to make this roster and be a backup offensive lineman on this team this season. And that's all you can ask for if you're an undrafted free agent offensive lineman. So I'll throw Desmond Noel out as well, but I think the three, Kwamie Lassiter, Ben Brown, and Tariqious Tisdale. And then keep an eye out on Pooka Williams. Could threaten. Thad Moss could threaten. I know there's a Thad hive out there. I know there's a Pooka hive too. But I started this with Chris Evans because I think he's going to break out this year. Feels like it. I'm sure we'll have more on him between now and camp, and certainly during training camp as well. If I don't talk to you before, and who knows, there could be Bengals news anytime, and if so, I will be talking to you. But if I don't talk to you before, have a great 4th of July holiday. Like I said, we have a lot planned. We're going to be adding some different things to this channel. And so that's what Andrew and I behind the scenes have been working on some. And so buckle up, hit that subscribe button. Won't be coming at you daily necessarily over the next few weeks. But what we will be doing is covering all the news. We'll still have videos for you. And we're buckling up for what is going to be a fun 2022 season, starting with training camp in less than a month. So hit that subscribe button. Tell all your friends about Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And if you're looking for more, go to allbengals.com and the Locked On Bengals podcast. For our channel coordinator, Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now right here on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.